Dear YouTube, as you know, under copyright law I am allowed to use portions of copyrighted material, in this case copyrighted material belonging to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania, so long as this is used for the purpose of criticism and parody. Please remember this when Watchtower comes complaining, because I've embarrassed them by using their propaganda in a way they disapprove of. Thank you. Hello viewers, and welcome to my latest video in the Worst Convention Ever series. In this installment, I take a look at 7 videos shown on the Friday afternoon of the convention, which I will show back to back. These videos tell the story of Sergei, a man who grows up as a Jehovah's Witness in what we must assume is Soviet-era Russia. We join the story with Sergei looking back on his life from a hospital bed.
I hope you weren't planning on sleeping all day.
Actually, I was thinking about it.
Come on, Papa, look how beautiful it is outside.
Okay.
Oh, I found this picture while cleaning the attic. I didn't know you played the violin.
Yes, Sergei played the violin, but as we are to find out, the extent to which he was allowed to pursue his musical talent was limited.
Sergei, it's getting late. It's time to put the violin down.
A little longer, please. My teacher says I'm really good.
It's true. You're playing better than I do now.
A man from the music conservatory came to our class, and my teacher told me to play for him.
Oh, and how did that go?
Well, first I was nervous. After I was done, he asked me if I can attend a program for young gifted musicians.
And what did you tell him?
I told him I'd ask you first, so can I please?
I don't think it's a good idea.
What? But why? It's just playing the violin. You and I played together. What's the difference?
The difference is we play violin for our enjoyment. It's different with the world. The pressure to be very best is so strong. And the spirit of competition, it can become so great that it will consume you.
I can handle it.
Sergei.
Consume you it will, the spirit of competition.
This paranoia about competition is used by Watchtower to dissuade witnesses from lots of activities, including any sports where people play to win, which is actually nearly all sports.
Sergei, conservatory exists to convince young people to make music their life, their career.
And Watchtower exists to convince young people to make peddling cult literature their life and their career. The difference is that Watchtower tells young people who don't want to be convinced that they will die at Armageddon, whereas higher education only extends opportunities to those willing to accept them. And if you're a gifted musician, getting paid to do something you love and something you're naturally good at is surely a win-win scenario.
You will be surrounded by people who don't love Jehovah. Can you handle that?
Sergei is surrounded by people who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses every day when he goes to school. Why would it be any different if he were to go to the music conservatory? I think what Sergei's dad is really worried about, and let's face it, he's really just a proxy for the governing body, is the way academic environments free people intellectually, empowering them to block out the white noise of cult indoctrination and start thinking for themselves.
I don't know, but I really love it, and I'm not good at anything else, but I'm good at this. Could I just try for a little bit?
I think it will make only harder for you.
Sergei is made to feel as though he has a choice in this, when in truth the decision has been made for him by a parent who is determined to indoctrinate him in his own unproven beliefs. And Watchtower wants all Jehovah's Witness parents to think and act similarly by putting the organization's interests ahead of the child's potential.
And Sergei, you don't have to give up playing. We still can enjoy playing beautiful music together like we always do.
Just not at the conservatory.
That's right. We must show Jehovah that we love him first.
I just don't understand.
One day you will understand. For now, I really appreciate you being obedient. I really appreciate you being obedient.
This scene is obviously fictitious, but it may as well be real. After all, it will now be reenacted around the world in countless homes as witness parents enforce Watchtower's selfish stance on higher education, which apparently now even applies to learning to play musical instruments to a professional standard. Basically, if a child has a unique talent, they are to keep it to themselves. They are not to use it to inspire, uplift, or help others, and they certainly aren't to try and make a living from it. All that matters is serving and obeying Watchtower.
Good answer, Alexei.
Natalia and I have really enjoyed our studies, Sergei.
But we missed your father tonight. We really hope he's feeling better soon.
Thank you.
Who is it?
It's another American with a really rubbish Russian accent.
Alexei, that's me, Daniel. Let me in. Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay, Daniel. We're glad you can join us.
You're sure you weren't followed?
Yes, I'm sure. I passed a group of police on the way, but they did not see me. They were busy arresting a man.
It's getting more and more dangerous. I'm so scared.
It's true. These are dangerous times.
And when living in dangerous times, the best thing to do is get involved with a cult that promises a future utopia in which all our needs will be met if we'll only surrender our critical thinking skills.
What helps me is to think of the ones like Jeremiah and the Apostle Paul. They were ordinary people, just like us. But Jehovah granted them the power beyond what is normal, so that they were able to endure.
That's right. We know this because it says so in a book that is divinely inspired, because it says it's divinely inspired. And great news, of all the religions over the past 2,000 years that claim to correctly explain this book, Sergei's religion just happens to be the one and only true faith.
When we meditate on examples like these, it gives us courage. Father? Father!
Sergei Alexandrov, we have been looking for you.
What have you done with him?
I will ask the questions. Where is it?
Let him go, please. He's sick.
I will ask again. Where is it?
Where's what?
The seditious literature your religion produces. We know you're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Why are you doing this? We've done nothing.
They're doing this because Jesus told his followers that they would be persecuted like him. So, if Jehovah's Witnesses get persecuted, that must mean they're God's one and only true organization. And I think we can say with certainty that totalitarian regimes are fine with all other religious minorities apart from Jehovah's Witnesses.
You know the law, and yet you chose to disobey it. You believe this is nothing, Sergei?
Obviously, just knowing a law doesn't mean one is necessarily compelled to obey it, especially if that law breaches a person's human rights. In this case, Sergei has the right to believe whatever he wants without being persecuted for doing so. In fact, Watchtower repeatedly appeals to human rights when fighting on behalf of witnesses who are imprisoned as conscientious objectors, or who are restricted in their preaching work by the authorities. Unfortunately though, Watchtower is less concerned about observing human rights themselves, especially when it comes to the right of everyone to leave their religion without punishment.
Now, tell us where to find your literature. Perhaps then, I will extend some consideration.
You won't find anything here.
We'll see. You play? Play something.
Because, as we know, Russian police under communism were renowned for randomly demanding musical performances from those they were questioning. Interrogation sessions were really more like Russia's Got Talent auditions back then.
No. Not that. Play the anthem for us.
No, I will not. We're loyal to our God Jehovah.
Of course, had Sergei played the anthem, that wouldn't have meant he agreed with its words or had any special feelings for it. You can appreciate a piece of music without endorsing its lyrics. But so afraid are Jehovah's Witnesses of doing anything that might be considered idolatrous, most would react the way Sergei did. Even though many witnesses will see no double standard in the way they are increasingly showing reverence for the logo of the organisation's jw.org website.
Why do you play for the wrong side when you know there is only one outcome?
It is worth mentioning at this point that persecution on religious grounds is completely unacceptable, even if, for reasons already explained, Jehovah's Witnesses do seem to revel in the idea of being persecuted. I personally have very strong feelings against the Watchtower organisation and its leadership, but I would not want to see it banned. Criminal investigations, governmental commissions, and removal of tax exemptions I can absolutely support, to the point where religious organisations are made bankrupt if necessary. But once you start banning certain religions, you venture down a path where the government is dictating what a person can or can't believe. You then have such a thing as thought crime. Far better to treat organised religions like the businesses they are, and insist that if they want to go around peddling beliefs that can't be proven, the least they can do is start paying taxes.
For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor governments will be able to separate us from God's love. For I am convinced.
This scripture from Romans 8 verse 38 becomes Sergei's mantra throughout the rest of this series of videos. Apparently, by repeatedly reminding themselves that they are convinced their religion is true, Jehovah's Witnesses can make their religion true.
Up early this morning. Come with me.
We have news about your father.
How is he?
He's dying, Sergei.
Please. Can I see him?
You can do even more than that. You can take him home.
We can leave?
Yes. You can leave and never have to come back. Just sign this.
What is it?
Read it. Read it.
No.
This opportunity will not come again, I assure you. Renounce your religion, and you both can leave.
No.
This is actually not too dissimilar to the way Watchtower deals with witnesses who decide to disassociate themselves. The officer here expects Sergei to renounce his faith if he ever wants to see his father again. Watchtower expects witnesses who leave to confess their allegiance to the governing body again if they ever want to be reunited with family members who are shunning them.
No one has to know.
My God will know.
Your God. Where is your God, Sergei? Can he rescue you from this place? Can he give you back your life? Your father? You've been here for 5 months. Would you prefer to make it 5 more years? Look at me. If not for yourself, do it for your father. You love him, right? Right? Then prove your love for him.
Sergei's love for his father is actually conditional on his father continuing to share his religious beliefs. If his father were to stop sharing those beliefs, Sergei would have no choice but to shun him.
I love my father very much.
We must show Jehovah that we love him first.
But I love Jehovah first. And whatever happens, I will serve him.
Okay. You want to serve him? Serve him. Enjoy your 5 years. Guard, take him.
Though Sergei believes he is serving Jehovah, he is actually serving a cult that has proclaimed itself to be Jehovah's organization. When I was growing up as a witness, I can recall referring to Watchtower as the Society. We tended to differentiate more back then between God and the organization God was supposedly using. Nowadays, it seems as though the lines between the organization and God are becoming increasingly blurred. We've sleepwalked into a scenario where Jehovah, Watchtower, the Society, and Jehovah's organization are basically all just different terms for the same thing.
Who is Jehovah?
Sergei's guard indicates that he is interested in letting Sergei preach to him. Ironically, for whatever reason, the guard of an actual prison wants to imprison himself in a belief system where servitude to an organization comes first, to the point where a child isn't even free to pursue its dreams and aspirations. We now fast forward a number of years to when Sergei is free and has morphed into another bloke who looks almost nothing like Sergei.
Thank you so much for that talk. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Sergei! Alexei! Natalia!
Yes, it's us.
I haven't seen you both since...
I know! It's been 17 years! We prayed for your release every night, Sergei.
Thank you so much.
Alexei and Natalia are the same couple who we saw Sergei studying with when he was a younger man. Apparently, they spent every night of his lengthy prison term praying for his release, because releasing one person from prison is apparently a bigger priority for the creator of the cosmos than, say, stopping children from dying of malaria.
When they announced your name as our substitute circuit overseer, I couldn't believe it.
Oh, I still cannot believe it. What is it? I wanted to meet my wife. This is Anya.
Nice
meeting you. Natalia,
Anya,
Alexei.
it's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Your husband studied with us.
It's wonderful to meet up again after all these years.
Would you both come to my home for dinner tonight? It would mean so much to us.
Sounds wonderful.
We would be happy to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What seems to be a perfectly innocent opportunity to catch up with old friends turns into something more sinister, as we are about to see.
We've been waiting for you.
All right.
Well, that was excellent.
Like your talk, Sergei, today.
Yes, it's rare for someone so young to teach as you do.
No, I don't.
Fedor is right. You are wise beyond your years. Do you think your time in prison prepared you?
I definitely had a lot of time to meditate, so I guess it might have matured me a little.
You were there nearly twice as long as most of us. We can only imagine how difficult those years were for you.
Is it true you never saw your father again?
It's true.
You must be very strong to withstand that kind of pressure.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I wish you could be our real circuit overseer.
We heard good things about Brother Ilyin.
Many good things. We hope to meet him soon.
He's okay. But he's not the man of the people. You have suffered, like us. You understand us. We need someone like you.
Sergei is being showered with praise by his former Bible study, Alexei. And as any Jehovah's Witness should know, the only men who are to be venerated and followed in Jehovah's organization are the governing body, who are to be thought of as the faithful and discreet slave, the spokespersons of God himself.
Brothers, I appreciate the praise, but I really don't deserve it.
Yes, you do.
No. The praise should go to Jehovah. It is only because of his power that any of us can serve him the way we do.
It's true. It's only because of Jehovah's Spirit. He deserves the praise.
Apparently, it's only because of Jehovah's Spirit that people can be skilled, for example, at giving talks. This supposedly has nothing to do with some people just being more talented in certain areas than others. Jehovah withholds his spirit when it comes to saving people, including children, from death and misery, but releases it to make people talented whenever Watchtower indoctrination is being dispensed.
And remember, Jehovah is the one who chooses those who serve in the congregations. Each of us has strengths that others don't have, but Jehovah sees them all, and he knows how to use them to advance his will. So we must trust Jehovah and be determined to appreciate the ones he has chosen to use.
Having spent about a year as a Jehovah's Witness elder, I can assure you there is absolutely nothing special or unique about elders, and they most certainly aren't handpicked for their positions by God. Although all congregations are bound to be different, my own experience is that elder bodies are intensely political, and whether or not you get chosen to serve as an elder depends largely on how well liked you are by the existing elders. While some elders are kind and genuinely want to help those in their congregation, other elders are intent on asserting their authority and imposing their views and ideas on those they are supposed to serve. Nobody is going to tell me that men like these are divinely appointed. especially when you consider the number of elders who have been caught either covering up child abuse or even perpetrating it.
Sergei! Sergei!
What is it?
Victor wants to see you.
See you right away. Sergei.
Yes, Victor.
I called you in because I need your help. Dmitri is sick and I have no one else to cover for him.
Which Dmitri?
He works at our sister plant. And I need you to start working there beginning tomorrow.
Where is this other plant?
About an hour away.
An hour away? Look, Victor, with all due respect, I really appreciate this job. Really.
No, I don't think you do.
But I've been covering for several people in the last few months. And I already feel very exhausted. Do you think you could find somebody else?
Not with your skill.
But I have family now and other responsibilities.
Other responsibilities?
My congregation.
Your religious beliefs again. Well, I give you time for your meetings, don't I?
Yes.
Remember, I do this not because I value your religion, but because I value your work. You're welcome and look for another job. But I doubt you're gonna find an employer as understanding as I am concerning your religious beliefs.
Oh dear, it looks like Sergei is stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, he has a boss who accommodates all his meetings but needs him to cover for a co-worker. On the other, he has a cult that threatens him with death at Armageddon unless he not only attends meetings, but exerts himself in the door-to-door preaching. But obviously, it's the boss who's the bad guy.
Well, as I said, Victor, I really appreciate this job and all the extra consideration you've been showing me, so yeah, I guess I'll just cover for Dmitri.
Have a good day. We'll be ready for a family study when you get home.
Oh, I forgot to mention, it isn't enough that witnesses attend twice weekly meetings at the Kingdom Hall and find time to go door knocking. They also need to schedule time for child indoctrination sessions with their children, otherwise known as family worship or family study. Long story short, Sergei is a very busy man.
Just as it is written, for your sake we're being put to death all day long. We have been accounted as sheep for slaughtering.
Working overtime at your job instead of doing the preaching work is the equivalent of being put to death. All day long.
On the contrary, in all these things, we are coming off completely victorious for the one who loved us. We can be victorious. So, how are my girls doing?
Papa, we've been practicing for their study tonight. I'm going to be Mary and Mama's going to be Martha.
I guess that makes me Jesus?
Yeah, I hope you're ready for tonight.
Yes, are you ready?
I'm ready, sweetheart. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Come.
Yeah.
All right.
While many witness dads probably dream of their children running up to them and telling them to get the family study started, it doesn't usually work like that. Most children tend to be less interested in getting indoctrinated and more interested in, well, being children. We fast forward again to when Sergei's daughter Irina is older. This time, Sergei makes a disturbing discovery at a Kingdom Hall meeting when bumping into his old friend and former Bible study, Natalia.
Irina. I'd like you to meet a very dear friend of ours, Natalia.
Hello. I knew your father when he was close to your age. He helped me learn the truth.
You did?
He was a good teacher, too. Very patient.
Where is Alexei? Because we were hoping to see him too.
Yeah. He's not here.
Maybe we could stop by and see him tomorrow before we leave.
Yeah. You can't.
Why not? What's wrong, Natalia? Is he sick? What is it?
What does it tell us?
A few months ago, Alexei left the truth.
Whoa! Alexei left the truth? You mean he's become an apostate?
Oh no. We haven't heard. We're so sorry, Natalia. What happened?
A workmate began feeding his mind with doubts about the organization. Pretty soon, those doubts turned into belief. And he left.
Pretty soon, those doubts turned into beliefs. This, for me, is a rather cynical way of besmirching those like myself who leave the organisation for conscientious reasons. It is perfectly healthy and, in fact, beneficial to doubt things. The opposite of doubting is to believe anything, and if you can believe anything, you may as well be a member of any religion, no matter how outrageous its beliefs may be. Sooner or later, what we believe must align in some way with evidence. If Alexei discovered evidence that disproved his beliefs, as any JW can do by searching online, the fact that he could no longer bring himself to believe Watchtower teachings is no terrible thing. It then belongs to Watchtower or his elders to present counter-evidence proving that whatever he's read isn't true. And I can tell you from my own experience and the experience of others, nobody is going to put forth any real effort to disprove evidence against the organisation. Ultimately, you either believe or you don't. When a person stops believing their religion, they leave it or apostatise from it. But you cannot equate apostasy with a form of religious belief in and of itself, as the makers of this video attempt to do here. Apostasy isn't belief, it's a lack of it. It's the empty space where belief once was. If Alexei spent all his life believing that the earth is flat, only to go into space and observe that the earth is round, he couldn't be described as religiously believing something that isn't true. He would have seen the evidence and modified his views accordingly. That's all that happens when someone wakes up from Watchtower indoctrination. But for Watchtower to be able to control witnesses, it needs to convince them that turning apostate is the worst possible thing that could happen to them, not much different from committing suicide. After all, ceasing to be a witness is, according to Watchtower, effectively a death sentence.
Everyone's been so supportive in the congregation. And Jehovah, he has never left me. I remember your words about courage all those years ago. I just didn't want to tell you because I knew how much it would hurt you.
Sergei is reminded of his words about courage, as though courage has anything to do with Alexei's decision to leave. Rather than making someone a coward, facing up to reality and walking away from one's faith takes immense courage and resilience, especially when the penalty for doing so is shunning by all of your former friends.
I just can't believe it.
I'm so sorry.
He's been like a second father to me.
By the way, this is how Jehovah's Witnesses are supposed to react when someone leaves their religion. They're supposed to treat it as a bereavement. which of course in their minds it is. Only the death penalty has been delayed until the person dies, or Armageddon comes, whichever comes first.
Now it feels like I've lost two. No?
I know. He may still come back.
It's been my earnest wish that he does.
Mine too.
If they're waiting for Alexei to come back, they'll probably be waiting for a long time. True, you can leave Jehovah's Witnesses, perhaps by being disfellowshipped for some wrong act, and still hold on to your indoctrination. But if you leave the organisation for conscientious reasons, because you realise that none of it is true, there really is no good reason why you would want to go back. Unless, of course, it's just to feign belief so that you can be reunited with your believing family.
I love you so much. People may leave, but Jehovah never will. He will never abandon his loyal ones.
For I'm convinced. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
This, apparently, is the governing body's best argument against apostates. People may leave, but Jehovah never will. No attempt to counter any of the arguments against the organisation. No attempt to explain any of its scandals, controversies, or demonstrably false teachings. If you're a JW, just be content that Jehovah hasn't left the organisation because the organisation says so. We now return to the hospital bed where we began our story, and Sergei faces a dilemma. He must choose between his faith and his life.
Oh, I found this picture while cleaning the attic. I didn't know you played the violin.
I lost interest in it, I guess.
No, Sergei, you were dissuaded from pursuing your talent because your father wanted you to devote your entire life to Watchtower. And clearly that's worked out really well for you.
Sergei, Irina, good afternoon.
Is it?
Oh, a bit of an attitude. Mind you, these are worldly doctors who've gone through higher education in pursuit of their own greedy, selfish agendas. They may be working hard to keep Sergei alive, but they probably deserve just a bit of rudeness.
We have received your test results. I wish I had better news.
It's okay, go ahead.
We have to operate.
All right. But remember, no blood.
I will do my best, but your best option is a blood transfusion. Without it, your chances are much lower. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand. And thank you, doctor, for doing your best and leaving this choice to me.
Oh, apparently it's a choice. Let's recap, shall we? Sergei has been manipulated into thinking that the God of the Bible will execute him at Armageddon unless he refuses medical treatment that the Bible writers could never possibly have envisioned. Sergei also knows that he will be disassociated by his elders if he accepts a blood transfusion without being sorry for doing so. If you don't believe me, here's the quote straight from the Elders Manual, the Shepherd the Flock of God book.
Willingly and unrepentantly taking blood. If someone willingly takes blood, perhaps because of being under extreme pressure, the committee should obtain the facts and determine the individual's attitude. If he is repentant, the committee would provide spiritual assistance in the spirit of Galatians 6:1 and Jude 22 and 23. Since he is spiritually weak, he would not qualify for special privileges for a period of time, and it may be necessary to remove certain basic privileges. Depending on the circumstances, the committee may also need to arrange for an announcement to the congregation. The elders have handled a matter having to do with name of person. You will be glad to know that spiritual shepherds are endeavoring to render assistance. On the other hand, if the elders on the committee determine that he is unrepentant, they should announce his disassociation.
But apart from being threatened with death at Armageddon in the long term and disassociation by his elders in the short term if he saves his life by accepting blood, this is all totally Sergei's choice.
My stand is the same.
Very well. We'll schedule the surgery for the end of this week, and we'll have to run a few more tests this afternoon, but I will give you a few minutes first.
Thank you.
I love you, Papa. I know you'll make it through. Mama always said you were strong.
Unfortunately, whether or not Sergei survives will have little to do with whether he is strong. The human body needs blood to circulate oxygen and other vital nutrients. And if Sergei loses enough blood during surgery without it being replaced, his body will shut down.
I love you too, sweetheart. And should something happen, keep your hope anchored on that wonderful day. The day when your mom and I will be reunited with you in the new world. Promise me?
For me personally, this is religion at its core. Religion is belief that something good will happen, not based on evidence, but purely because you want it to happen.
I promise. I'll see you outside.
We must show Jehovah that we love him first.
For I am convinced that neither death nor life, no angels, no governments, no things now here, no things to come, no powers, no height, no depth, nor any other creation will be able to separate us from God's love that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. For I am convinced
Thus ends the story of Sergei. Whether he survives his decision to refuse blood or not is unclear. But Watchtower wants to drill home the message that his choice was the correct one, the one all witnesses should make. Sadly, all too often, this grotesque form of martyrdom does take people's lives. Though we'll perhaps never know the full death toll of the blood prohibition, there are far too many horror stories of witnesses paying the ultimate price for their beliefs. For example, in this 1994 Awake article titled Youths Who Put God First, Watchtower effectively brags about the death of thousands of youths who sacrificed their lives in observance of a teaching concocted by Watchtower leaders only as recently as 1945. The bitter irony is that for all its reveling in stories of governmental persecution, nobody in history has been more prolific at killing Jehovah's Witnesses than Watchtower itself. I hope you've enjoyed my analysis of Sergei's story, which I think can be summed up as the story of one man who gets thoroughly screwed over by Watchtower from childhood right through to his death. In my next video, I will be taking a look at 2 longer videos released during the convention. One is a dramatization of the story of King Hezekiah, while the other is a modern take on the story of Job. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe for more, and as always, thank you for watching.